My name's Julie, and we've had the Sweetest Things business for the last 15 years. More recently moved into our shop, which is at Terrigal, underneath Crown Plaza.
Right.
We do predominantly wedding cakes. We do some other things in the shop, but our main focus is wedding cakes.
Okay. So you've been in the Crown Plaza for a while, so before that you're just working from a home kitchen?
No, we had a catering kitchen off-site, which was really good, but not very conducive with having people come there because it was more just a kitchen, not a sort of showroom.
And it's your two daughters that work in the shop as well?
Yes, it is. My two eldest children. So Amy is actively in the store nearly every day. Melissa is more the behind the scenes.
Okay. So if someone comes in to see you, they'll either see you or one of the girls?
Or one of the girls, yeah. And we all equally can do all that sort of service talk.
Like the consultation part?
That's exactly right. Yep.
So as far as cakes, I know with weddings, couples will come and see me about a year before, maybe down to about 8 months before, usually. What about with cake? How far out do people come see you?
There's different times, because very much we have the wedding season, and so from the end of the year, October, November, December is really busy. So we like to sort of say to people about 9 months beforehand, start really planning and coming in and having a chat and doing that. Where it's not quite so busy through the winter months, you can do 3 months. So anywhere really from 3 to 9 months is really good planning time.
Okay, so before they come and see you, what do they need to know? They need to know cake flavours or styles? Or?
No, not really, because we run through the whole process with them. We do like to give our brides a checklist beforehand though, just to help them out.
Okay, so how do they get that? They ring first?
They can ring, we can email that to them, or they can ring the store and just find out what the process is, and then sometimes they'll pop in and just grab one themselves.
So you have it there ready to go?
We have it there ready to go for everyone, and then we also have our cake tasting days, which we hand out that as well. And what we find with our cake tasting days, which is where you get to try all the cake, which is the fun one, which all the grooms really like to come to, they can pick up a checklist on that day. It gives them the opportunity to try the cake, pick up the checklist, see where we are, see our work on display, and it can actually help them with that process a lot easier.
So I'm guessing with the checklist, there's going to be things like flavour, how many people you have to feed, what colour you want.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, all that. We have, on this list, flavour is actually one of the lower end part to do. And
so as being a guy, I think choosing flavours first.
They love that, that's what they think of,
really. The flavour.
The flavour. So what we actually do is look at what colour the bride's dress is, the bridesmaids' colours, the flowers, the flower colour, the theming of the wedding, the decorations going into the wedding, and then it comes down to the flavour. So what we do then is look at what the people are wanting to use their cake for. So whether it's dessert size portions or coffee size portions, which relates to the size of the cake.
Okay. So you can have any flavoured cake that looks like any other cake. So you can have anything, you can mix and match.
That's if you have 3-tiered cake, you can have 3 different flavours if you wish to.
Okay.
However,
so the guys don't need to come and choose the flavour straight away.
But it's in that consultation we go through all these sort of, they seem like just silly little questions, but they're not. They actually play a huge role, because if people are using their cake for dessert, then we like to sort of help them choose dessert flavours for the cake rather than a tea and coffee flavour. So a nice rich chocolate mud cake is good for dessert, whereas you might do a nice white vanilla cake for tea and coffee.
So going to be used for different things, it might have different flavours.
That's right.
And people wouldn't think of that.
No, they wouldn't. And well, they shouldn't.
Yeah. So talking about flavours again, you said you had like the dessert cakes and there's tea and coffee cakes. So I'm assuming that you don't do many fruit cakes anymore like I had at my wedding. Would that be right?
That is exactly right. Fruit cake is so not in at the moment, and probably won't be ever again, simply because people are not eating fruitcake like they used to. There's a percentage of fruitcakes done, yes, but it's nowhere near as popular as it used to be.
So do you think that's because like grandmas were doing cakes in the past, or that was an easy cake to make that can support the weight?
Well, we still get that question about fruitcake. Oh, it's got to be fruitcake because it's so heavy and it's got to support the weight. No, that's not the case.
So you can have a 3-tiered cake and it can be chocolate.
That's right, and the way we structure our cakes, they will not fall over. So with the whole fruit cake thing, that was based on a really old tradition, and that was literally 100 years ago when that's when they had fruitcake because it had the best keeping qualities. We don't need that anymore.
Okay.
And so people don't eat fruitcake like they used to. It's more a Christmas thing.
Yeah.
And so less and less for weddings. But if you've got a family who is really into fruitcake, that's when you probably do a layer of fruitcake.
Right. So would that be the top one, or?
Not necessarily, but more so, yes, the top one. But sometimes people get the top two and then a different one down the bottom because they want to take the top layer and have that and keep it and things like that. So in magazines and on articles they say about the whole fruitcake thing, which is just so not in keeping with our time now.
Yeah, I find that with photography, like the magazines, I just seen that write one article 10 years ago,
yes,
it stays the same.
And it stays the same. Which is really hard because when you, you know, we may see 6 people on a Saturday for cake appointments, and I would say 5 out of 6 of those couples, I'm actually going to explain to them that no, you don't have to have fruitcake. And
so is that coming from their mum or grandmother?
No, it's actually the magazine and on blogs and things like that, you know, and it just seems so silly. We're in a modern society, you know.
Sure. So I mean, I remember when we had our wedding, we had to, well, everyone told us we had to keep the top layer and you have it a year later, so I'm assuming that doesn't happen either anymore, really.
No, because if you have just a mud cake or a vanilla cake, caramel, in the freezer up to 3 months is what we say.
Okay.
We have people who will freeze their top layer of their cake 12 months and do that successfully. Me, I don't have room in my freezer to keep a whole cake for a year, and I will always advocate saying that have your cake while it's at its best, and that's when it's made that week for your wedding, and enjoy it.
I mean, I remember my fruitcake a year later wasn't that great.
No, no. And if people don't keep it correctly, it's so disappointing when they bring it into us to get re-iced or, you know, tizzed up for the christening cake.
Yeah, okay.
And they haven't kept it properly, and then you go to cut into it and it's all mouldy inside. Not a good look.
Not real good, okay.
No.